Red Door Shield. Secure everything.
It was the second week of March, the worst possible time. A small accounting firm heads down in the middle of the busiest stretch of their entire year. Someone on the team opened what looked like a client sending over their documents. One click. By the next morning, every return in progress was locked. Hundreds of clients, social security numbers, financials, refunds, all of it, sitting behind a ransom screen in the middle of tax season. And the owner said the thing I hear from almost every CPA. We are a small firm. Why would anyone target us? If you run an accounting or tax practice, I am going to answer that today. Because the honest truth is, your firm is not a random target. You are one of the most specifically hunted businesses in the entire country. And by the end of this, I'm going to tell you something about your legal obligations that most CPAs have no idea applies to them. My name is Tony Chan. I founded Red Door Technologies, and I have spent 17 years protecting small businesses, including a lot of accounting firms. So here is the straight answer to why CPA firms are prime targets. It is not bad luck, and it is not because you did anything wrong. It is because of what your firm holds and when you hold it. A CPA firm is, to a criminal, one of the richest, most concentrated targets that exists. You are sitting on a vault. You just happen to call it a client list. Let me show you exactly why, through their eyes. 3 reasons your firm is at the top of the list. Reason 1, the data. Think about what is actually inside your systems right now. For every client, and often their whole family. Social security numbers, dates of birth, full financial statements, bank account details, employer information, dependents, prior year returns. That is not a pile of records. That is a complete identity kit. Everything a criminal needs to become your client on paper. With that data, they do not need to do anything clever. They file fraudulent tax returns in your clients' names and collect the refunds before anyone notices. They open credit lines. They sell the rest in bulk because a verified taxpayer identity is worth real money to the right buyer. One law firm holds secrets. One medical office holds health records. You hold the financial identity of every person who has ever trusted you with their taxes. To a criminal, there are very few targets richer than that. Reason 2 is one almost nobody talks about. Your calendar. Criminals know exactly when you are busiest, and busy is the same thing as vulnerable. During tax season, 3 things happen at once inside your firm. All of your most sensitive data is active and moving. Your team is exhausted and moving fast, clicking through hundreds of client emails and attachments a day. And the pressure to keep things flowing is at its absolute peak. That is the perfect environment for an attack. A tired staffer in March racing a deadline is far more likely to click the fake client email than that same person in a quiet week in July. And the leverage is brutal. If they lock your systems on April 1st, you are not just losing data. You are facing filing deadlines for hundreds of clients with no access to anything. The pressure to just pay and make it stop is enormous. They are counting on exactly that. And reason 3 is the one that turns this from a threat into something on your desk today. Because this is not just about criminals. It is about the law. Here is something most CPAs do not know. Under federal law, the FTC Safeguards Rule, every professional tax preparer is required to have a written information security plan. The IRS calls it a WISP. It applies to every firm, no matter how small. This is not a suggestion. It is a requirement. The IRS reinforces it, and you may have already signed off confirming you have one to keep your e-filing credentials. And the recent updates went further. Multi-factor authentication is now explicitly required. The old in-office exception is gone, and the penalties are real. Non-compliance can carry fines that run into the tens of thousands of dollars per day, plus serious penalties for failing to notify clients after a breach. So here's the uncomfortable question. Does your firm actually have a written information security plan with the required protections genuinely in place? Not a document in a drawer, a real one with MFA that matches what you attested to. Many firms, when I ask, go quiet. If that is you, you are not just exposed to criminals. You are exposed to regulators. So put it all together and picture what one attack actually costs a firm like yours. The client data gone or exposed, the tax season downtime. At the one time of year, you cannot afford a single day offline. The legal notifications to every client whose identity you held. The potential regulatory penalties for a missing or fake security plan. And then the part that hurts the most for a CPA. Your entire practice is built on one thing: trust. People hand you their most private financial information because they trust you to protect it. A breach does not just cost money, it breaks the exact thing your firm runs on. That is why CPA firms are prime targets. Rich data, perfect timing, a legal obligation many have not met, and a business model that lives or dies on trust. Here's the good news, and it is real. Everything I just described is fixable, and getting it right protects you on both fronts at once, from the criminals and from the regulators. That is exactly what our free business security assessment does, and for an accounting firm, it is tailored to your world. We look at whether your client data is actually protected, whether multi-factor authentication is truly turned on the way the rule now requires, and whether you genuinely have the written security plan federal law says you must have. You walk away knowing where your firm stands with criminals and with the IRS before tax season, not during it. No jargon, no pressure. Just a straight answer from someone who understands exactly what your firm is holding. The link is in the description. And subscribe, because I am going through different target industries in this series. Next up, law firms, and why a breach at a law practice is not just theft, it is leverage. But if you run a CPA firm, do not wait for the next video. You now know two things most of your competitors do not: that you are a target and that you have a legal obligation. The smartest move is to find out today exactly where you stand.
Stop hoping. Start knowing.